Andrew recruited the help of two veteran law enforcement experts who now own their own company called Profiling Evil. Mike King and Chris McDonough spearheaded the private investigation and hope they may have helped him break the case so that he can bring his sister home. I'm talking to Mike King and Chris McDonough. And Chris, you've worked in the homicide unit for many years. Mike is a former investigator and police officer. What struck you about Suzanne's case when you first heard about it?
This thing from the beginning just really seemed strange to us. We looked at the victimology. We started to evaluate the different kinds of people that potentially would be involved in someone that's a low-risk victim like this.
This wasn't someone that put themselves in harm's way. She certainly was not in a high-crime occupation. When she went completely silent, that's a big red flag right immediately, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And we were so troubled by that, Dr. Phil. I mean, we looked at this and we thought, who could be these possible suspects responsible for something like this? And with a low-risk victim, you always go back to those in the inner circle. And sadly, it usually means that person's a target of that assault. And we're not interested in pointing any fingers. We're just interested in asking all the whys.
One of the things that immediately struck us and struck me, obviously, with as a former investigator, was this one video where he gave a statement to a YouTuber. And so as we started to analyze that a little bit closer, one of the things that struck us almost immediately was he was talking in plural, we, us, them, they.
So we thought maybe she got attacked by a lion. We thought maybe she wrecked coming down this hill, a car coming around the corner fast, and maybe was disoriented and got in the river. We've covered all of this really good.
And then he started to push all the blame away from himself. He was blaming other people.
Sheriff Department, they screwed everything up. They shouldn't have touched it.
Oh, really?
Left it. It's evidence.
Yeah, big red flags immediately. There
were multiple theories or stories that were being bandied about. One was a mountain lion. And I'm a bit of a country boy, and I've found predators don't usually clean up after themselves. There's usually a pretty big mess left behind, and there was no such scene anywhere to be found, right?
No, in fact, that was really troubling to us too, Dr. Phil. There were no artifacts to support a bicycle collision or some predatory means, either a human or an animal, tearing this woman from her bicycle. No physical evidence that we've been able to hear about as far as torn clothing in the trees. And we were so troubled by this idea of a mountain lion. So we reached out to the Mountain Lion Foundation, and the experts said that in 125 years in North America, there's been fewer than 100 people that have ever been killed by a mountain lion.
I've seen scenes of predators' attacks on animals because there's so seldom a human, and it looks like you walked into an airplane propeller. And I know that's gruesome. I'm just saying that to rule that sort of thing out, taken by a random person, and then the third theory, of course, which is statistically the most likely, is being victimized by someone she knew, which I assume is probably the most likely scenario that you guys entertain. Would that be correct?
We couldn't get her out of the circle in relationship to that victimology that kept pointing back to the house first. One of the most disturbing things I think that we uncovered pretty early was this conversation that her husband had with Andy's father, Gene. And this is an 87-year-old man who's suffering from cancer, and he gets a phone call from his son-in-law, and he's basically said, what was told to me was that, I loved your daughter, and I need you to sign some papers. And basically it was the guardianship. And Gene, essentially said, what do you mean you love my daughter? Where is she? We're going to find her. And no, I'm not signing any paperwork.